This is Pacifist, a Tauren druid who, in a world full of warcraft, has chosen to live a life of peace. He is exploring all of Azeroth and beyond without ever killing. His mission is simple: master his druidic powers by reaching level 90 without attacking. At this point in the journey, Pacifist has mastered the old world of Azeroth and ventured beyond the dark portal to Outland. Now he stands on the shores of a new land as he faces the frozen wastes of Northrend and prepares to best this next stage of the challenge. One thing is certain: it's not going to be easy. We start our journey today in Borean Tundra, a fitting location to start in as it is home to Dita, druids for the ethical and humane treatment of animals. This group protects the wildlife of the tundra and shuns any who seek to do it harm. In them I felt like I'd found kindred spirits. They are, in essence, the same as us, druids who have chosen a life of peace and oneness with nature, and wait, they want me to kill dwarves and cut off their ears as trophies? Okay, maybe we have some differences in our views. Moving away from the idealistic, if slightly unhinged druids, we have a beautiful area teeming with plant life that is unique in how many varieties of environment there are for us to explore in a single zone. We have the wide open grasslands, the cratered oil fields, the mountainous cliffs, and of course the Isle of Magic and Dragons. All of this scenery is there to show us that we're not in old Azeroth anymore. Zones don't just have a single theme now, they can be sprawling landscapes that portray both realism and fantasy in perfect balance. Borean Tundra also had a source of experience gains that until now had been largely off limits to us. It turns out that this zone's variety extends to the types of quests it contains. There are of course still the classic kill X enemies, collect X items from them, but there are also a lot of quests to do with exploration and peaceful collection. So many in fact that we not only got lots of great guild reputation, but also a significant chunk of experience. Each quest was rewarding around 5% of a total level for really very little effort. With Flightform, the quests requiring us to survey an area or collect certain items were a breeze, and there were a lot of these. So many in fact that we gained our first level in an hour flat. That's twice as fast as we were able to get them with our most optimised routes in Outland. So capitalising on this momentum, we made a decision. Northrend contains 10 zones, and we have 10 levels to gain in Wrath. So we're going to spend one whole level in each zone, exploring the entire place to gain the prestigious Explorer's Tabard, and completing as many quests as our vows of peace will allow. So, with level 71 achieved, that meant that next up was Dragonblight. Dragonblight is the largest zone in Northrend, a vast arctic wasteland littered with the ice-encrusted bones of colossal dragons. As we flew across its borders, the shift in atmosphere was immediate. At the centre of this frozen expanse lies Wimrest Temple, surrounded by 5 dragon shrines: Obsidian, Azure, Bronze, Emerald, and the Druby Dragonflight, each a testament to the ancient power of dragonkind. There's something haunting about Dragonblight. The scattered dragon skeletons jutting from the ice creates an eerie beauty. These massive bones are monuments to mortality, reminders that even the mightiest creatures eventually return to the earth. Is exactly the kind of dark, atmospheric zone that WoW does so well, not gratuitously grim, but weighted with history and consequence. For our purposes, Dragonblight proved remarkably accommodating. The southern portion of the zone offered an excellent farming circuit with respectable node density, and unexpectedly many quests that aligned with our pacifist principles. There were tasks requiring us to collect items scattered around the tundra, survey areas, and deliver messages. Honest work that required no bloodshed. We moved through Dragonblight quickly, propelled by the combination of efficient gathering routes and these peaceful quest objectives. The zone's very presence served as a reminder of the war we're avoiding, The undead scourge besieges these shrines, attempting to raise undead dragons to serve the Lich King, yet we glided above it all, gathering herbs and ore while the great conflicts of Northrend raged below. From the Dragon Graveyard we ventured southeast to Howling Fjord, and what a contrast it was. The fjord hosts a coastline of treacherous cliffs, dark forests, open plains, and tree-covered outcroppings. It's a Viking-inspired landscape that's dominated by snow-covered forests and dramatic waterfalls. There's something very satisfying about Howling Fjord's openness. Unlike Dragonblight's oppressive desolation, the fjord feels teeming with life. The green valleys nestled between snow-dusted peaks create this wonderful sense of wilderness tamed, just enough for civilization to take root. The Viracle, a mighty and ancient race of warriors deeply connected to Norse mythology, have a distinct Viking-like aesthetic, with longboats, wooden villages, and a proud warrior tradition. Our farming route here was straightforward and pleasant. The zone's layout naturally guides you through efficient circuits. We encountered several archaeology sites, which initially seemed promising, but reality quickly set in. Every dig site was surrounded by hostile mobs, making excavation frustratingly dangerous. Each time we'd begin surveying, nearby viracle or wildlife would aggro, forcing us to abandon the site mid-dig. After several failed attempts, we made the practical decision to set archaeology aside temporarily and focus on what we do best: peaceful herb and ore gathering. The fjord was generous in this regard, offering consistent node spawns along our routes, and we found a handful of compatible quests to supplement our experience gains. As a side note, if you're enjoying this series and want to hang out while I do the farming in real time, head over to Twitch and give us a follow so you get notified when we go live. Once we'd completed Howling Fjord and got to level 73, we then reached Grizzly Hills, and something inside me just settled. Grizzly Hills is an untamed forest filled with rivers and hunters' cabins. It's based on the redwood forests from San Francisco, but to me it evokes that Canadian wilderness aesthetic that I've always loved. Nestled between Zul'Drak and Howling Fjord, Grizzly Hills is filled with threats from all sides. At its heart sits Grizzlemore, home to some furbolg tribes. There's something profoundly peaceful about flying through Grizzly Hills despite the dangers below. The way the sunlight filters through the towering pines, the gentle sounds of rivers winding through valleys, the scattered wooden outposts that look like they could be real wilderness lodges. It all creates this sense that you're hiking through genuine wilderness rather than navigating a digital space. From an efficiency standpoint, Grizzly Hills wasn't our strongest performer. Ore nodes were surprisingly sparse, and herbs tended to be clustered in a specific area rather than distributing evenly throughout the zone. This meant more flying between gathering spots than we'd prefer. But here's the thing, sometimes a place's value can't be measured in gold per hour or experience efficiency. Grizzly Hills was simply beautiful in a way that made the slightly slower levelling feel worthwhile. The cosy aesthetic, the sense of being immersed in real nature, the relaxing atmosphere, it all combined to make this my favourite farming location so far in our journey. I found myself taking my time here, not rushing between nodes but actually appreciating the environment. And that's what this challenge is really about, isn't it? Finding peace and contentment in the journey rather than racing towards the destination. Our peaceful woodland reverie ended abruptly when we climbed into Zul'Drak. Zul'Drak is a large temple city, home to the ice trolls of the Takari Empire. The entire region is described as one massive city, plazas and ziggurats, walls and aqueducts stretching as far as the eye can see. The zone is split in two. The southwestern area is a harsh, dry land plagued by death, while the northeast is blanketed in freezing ice and snow. Unlike the natural zones we'd been exploring, Zul'Drak is almost entirely built up, an ancient troll civilization now in the throes of desperate madness. For herb gathering, Zul'Drak was disappointing. You simply can't find many plants growing in a zone that's mostly stone architecture and frozen wastes. Ore was more plentiful, scattered among the massive structures and rocky outcrops, but the true surprise of Zul'Drak was its wealth of pacifist-compatible quests. This ancient temple city, for all its darkness and desperation, offered us a meaningful way to contribute without violence. We collected metal scraps from the battlefield, delivered messages between the Argent Crusade camps, and even provided parachutes to soldiers preparing for dangerous missions. These were practical, helpful tasks that contributed without requiring us to take lives. The result was that we moved through Zul'Drak faster than any zone since Borean Tundra. The combination of available ore nodes and numerous compatible quests created surprisingly efficient levelling, despite the zone's intimidating atmosphere. There's an interesting parallel there, even in this place of sacrifice and suffering, where the Drakari trolls have been sacrificing their own lower gods in desperation to fight the Scourge. We found ways to help that aligned with our principles. Before we continue our journey through Northrend's remaining zones, we need to talk about a development that changed everything for our economic situation. Blizzard recently implemented mega servers for Mists of Pandaria Classic, and our realm, Mirage Raceway, became one of these consolidated destinations. Players from lower population realms could now transfer here freely, and the impact on the auction house was immediate and dramatic. Suddenly, items that had languished in our bags for weeks were moving within minutes. I tested this by listing 280 cobalt bars. I'd smelted these from raw ore, since bars typically sell for more gold than their constituent materials, and I watched them disappear from the auction house almost instantly. Even our backlog of inscription materials from around level 50, items that had been gathering dust for what felt like ages, finally started finding buyers. We'll open the mailbox at the end to see just how much gold has accumulated, but I can tell you now it's going to be substantially more satisfying than our previous mailbox reveals. So from Zul'Drak's ancient ziggurats, we descended into Sholazar Basin, and what a descent it was. This zone is Northrend's anomaly, a lush tropical jungle nestled impossibly among the frozen wastes, warmed by geothermal activity and teeming with life. The node density here was exceptional, and we'd reached the point where saronite deposits were replacing cobalt veins we'd been farming. Economically, this created an interesting situation. Cobalt ore and bars sell for between 6 and 8 gold and move quickly on the auction house. Saronite goes for roughly half that price, but the deposits have a chance to drop crystallized shadow, which are worth 4 to 5 gold each. So the maths worked out roughly the same gold per hour, regardless of which zone we chose to farm in. But Sholazar offered something beyond pure economics. Like Grizzly Hills before it, this zone was simply lovely to exist within. The vibrant greens, the exotic flora, the sense of exploring a hidden paradise, it made farming feel like less work and more like discovery. Even after dozens of circuits through the zone, the beauty never quite wore off. At level 76, curiosity drew us to Crystalsong Forest. The name alone evokes magic and wonder. Surely a place called Crystalsong would offer unique gathering opportunities. Well, we were sorely disappointed. Crystalsong Forest, for all its ethereal beauty, contains virtually no herb nodes and only a handful of saronite deposits that spawn exclusively along its border with storm peaks. From a farming perspective, the zone is essentially worthless, a beautiful but barren crystalline wasteland. Fortunately, timing saved us from dwelling on this disappointment. Darkmoon Fair had rolled back into town, offering its usual array of profession quests and daily opportunities. Combined with a few artifact purchases from the auction house and the cooking daily available in Orgrimmar, we basically gained an entire level without gathering a single resource. Sometimes the game rewards preparation and timing just as much as grinding. That left us with 3 zones remaining: Ice Crown, Storm Peaks and Winter Grasp. Rather than approach them methodically one at a time, I decided to explore all 3 immediately. This whirlwind tour netted us a substantial chunk of experience, some incidental gathering along the way, and most importantly, that prestigious Explorer's Tabard, a cosmetic reward that represents the complete exploration of Northrend's diverse landscapes. With the exploration completed, we shifted focus to concentrated gold farming for those final levels. The strategy was straightforward: alternate between Howling Fjord for its fast-selling cobalt and Sholazar Basin for the crystallised shadows. We'd also reached a level where those archaeology sites in Howling Fjord that had frustrated us earlier were now safely accessible. We could survey without constant hostile interruptions. There's something relaxing about farming when you know you're in the home stretch. Each node gathered, each archaeology fragment unearthed, each experience point earned brought us measurably closer to our goal. The fjord's Viking-inspired cliffs and Sholazar's tropical jungles became familiar friends rather than just farming locations. And then, in what genuinely felt like no time at all, we dinged level 80. So with Wrath completed in just a single episode, let's see how profitable our Northrend adventures have been. It's time to open that mailbox and tally up our economic success. The ore and bars have really been pulling their weight here. Some Eternal Life sales are helping us out as well. And if you have a look, these shoulders that we got from the swords deck back when we were doing Inscription finally sold for a massive 700 gold. Herbs still have a slower sale rate, but they're moving faster than before, and we're starting to sell off the last of those Inscription materials. So let's take all of this out of the mailbox and into the bags and see how much gold we've made since last episode. Okay, wow, almost 8,000 gold, and we still have over 60 mails to open. Whoa, okay, I love these mega servers. Over 10,000 gold. That means with the gold on our main character, we have about 13k total, and that's after buying all of our flying upgrades and heirlooms. We just have the final rank of flight speed to buy for about 5k, and then everything after that is going to be pure profit. So our second goal is to get a WoW token through this challenge, as well as hit level 90. Catch us in the next live stream or video to see where we explore next. Make sure you're subscribed so you get notified when the next video goes live, and until then, go with peace, friend.